Manchester United are currently 8th place, 9 points behind top 4, out of the Carabao Cup, out of the Champions League, only the FA Cup and top 4 to fight for. Ten Hag is on the verge of getting sacked, so I'm bringing you Manchester United's mid-season review. I'm Najib Talksport, aka Pablo, and welcome to Manchester United's mid-season review. First topic of discussion is the manager and Erik Ten Hag. Erik Ten Hag has been under great pressure this season. Obviously, like I've said, 8th place, finishing bottom of the Champions League group is not a good look. Tactics and his man management has been under the radar by not only players, former players, but also the media and fans too. Ten Hag last season done very well, finishing 3rd place. I think he got around 75 points. He won us the Carabao Cup and he also got us to the final of the FA Cup. He could have won it if it wasn't for De Gea, but that's for another day and another discussion. But last season, he done very well. Obviously, after the first 2 games, he decided to compromise his style of play to be a bit more defensive, a bit more pragmatic. He dropped the line a bit deeper. But in the end, it worked. But this season, it's the complete opposite. This season, he's trying to play his football. He's trying to implement his style of play. And you can see that it's going downhill with the results, with the performances. The form that we're seeing right now was really seen last season, post-February. After we won that Carabao Cup, a lot of our games, a lot of our performance went downhill and the game started to become scrappy, and we really relied on them last minute winners or them 1-goal winners, and we kept clean sheets, which we done very well last season. This season has been the complete opposite. We're conceding for fun. We can't score, we can't create chances, and a lot of the players are underperforming. So a lot of the players are underperforming. The main microscope at the end of the day falls under the manager, and the 2 main questions I have of him this season is his build-up number 1 and his final 3rd place. So let's talk about the build-up first. In build-up, he tends to try play out from the back, and I prefer him playing out from the back than going direct. But at the beginning of the season, we've seen that when he gets pressed, or when the team gets pressed, he tends to instruct players to go long, find Højlund, find McTominay up there, try find Rashford. And I feel like if you're going to want to play your football, even if we're getting pressed, we have to learn how to play out the press. Now, with players being out, with the likes of Casemiro being injured, Manu being injured at the start of the season, Eriksen, Mount, it does mean that it makes it hard for players to adjust and adapt because some players are just not good enough. But what I wanted to see is clear patterns, a clear set of play. No matter who plays, I still want to see the same patterns. I want to see the same build-up structure. I want to see if the fullbacks are going to hold whip. I want to see the fullbacks if they're going to tuck in. A bit like Ange at Tottenham, you know, like both their centre-backs are out, Van de Ven and Romero. They're playing Emerson Royale and they're playing Ben Davies. But the way that both fullbacks still tuck in, the way that they build up is still the exact same. And that's something I want from Ten Hag, just to be a bit more consistent with the style of play, because these players need consistency. And over time, when you're consistent with a set routine, with a set play, the players will get better and naturally will get better as a team as well. So that was really my first point of annoyance from Ten Hag. And my second point of annoyance is that when we attack, it's actually quite poor, and a lot of it relies on the individual to find that brilliance. Now, I understand if you have better players, naturally your attack is going to be a lot better. What we see from top teams is that we see nice set plays, nice patterns, nice routines. But what we also see is that individual brilliance that allows players to thrive. And I feel like Manchester United need a bit of both, and Ten Hag needs to coach that into his players. Right now, it's almost like whoever plays in attack dictates how good the attack is going to be. Whereas what we need is the attack to be a lot more rigid and have, you know, patterns, have set plays, have 3rd man runs. Just have something for the attackers so that if they do get injured, the next player that we do bring, they can come in and after they know what the task is or how to execute a certain thing without thinking, cool, I'm going into the pitch, I have all this space, I have all this time, but I'm not sure what to do with it. I think Ten Hag still got the end of the season to fix it. He's still got another 5-6 months, and whilst we are 9 points behind top 4, 5th place could get Champions League, so that means we are 8 points behind top 5. But if you can get top 6, I win the FA Cup, I think Ineos may feel the need to keep him, because that's 2 trophies in 2 seasons. He's gotten us 3rd, and then after he would have gotten us top 6 as well. So it really depends on if he really wants it, because Ten Hag is a top coach. If he coaches these players well, we are good enough to get top 6, potentially top 5. On to the next section, and that is transfers. This season we've bought Mount, Højlund, Onana, and we've got in on loan Sofian Amrabat. It's been a decent window, to be honest, but sometimes Some of his transfers have been misses. For example, the biggest one is Anthony, but also the loan signings of Weghorst and Sabitzer. I feel like when you're signing players like Anthony and you're signing them for big money in the last few days of the window, I think Ten Hag really needs to look at the youth instead, because Elanga is a better player than Anthony, let's be honest. And Elanga played very well in that Liverpool game when we won 2-1 last season at Old Trafford. But then we brought in Anthony in after he shifted Elanga to the bench. And for the rest of the season, I can't remember where Elanga last played. So I feel like what Ten Hag talks about, he talks about youth in the media, but really and truly, does he really use that youth? Other than Garnacho and Manu, he's been given other players maybe like 5-minute cameos, 10-minute cameos, but there's been parts of the season where, for example, last season, we had Sabitzer come in because we had a few injuries. Could have kept Garner, and Garner's doing very well at Everton, playing that hybrid 6 and 8 role. And, you know, notoriously, Manchester United has been built on its academy. Whether you look at Ferguson, Van Gaal used the academy a lot. Mourinho not so much, but Solskjaer again used the academy a lot. And Ten Hag really needs to use his academy a lot more, because there is quite a few good players in the academy. Even now we have Alvaro Fernandez, who apparently is close to a move to Benfica. Isaac Hansen-Aaron, who apparently is close to a move to away because he's not happy with the playing time that he's getting. And when we're loaning in players like Amrabat, when we're loaning in players like Weghorst, when we're loaning in players like Sabitzer, and they're not performing well, it almost begs to ask the question, why don't we just use the players that already have at the academy, promote them, give them minutes? First of all, it saves us money and wages, but second of all, like, there's gems in Carrington, man. Whilst I do blame him partly for the transfers, it is not entirely his fault. John Murtough and Richard Arnold should have not given him this much power at the club. What he needed was a proper director of football who he can sit down with, talk about what he needs and what he wants, and then after they both come to a conclusion. He had the same with Overmars, and he needed that at Manchester United. With Ineos coming in, this could potentially change with the likes of Ashworth and Paul Mitchell being linked to us. But let's see if Ten Hag survives to see that. On to the next session, we're going to be talking about the players. In my opinion, I feel like a lot of them are trying, the likes of Garnacho, Anthony, Manu, Evans, Maguire when he was playing before he got injured, McTominay. I feel like he's still got the backing of quite a few players. But there's some of them performing and some of them aren't. Players that were performing very well last season, for example, the likes of Casemiro, Lisandro Martinez, Marcus Rashford. All three players who last season were very pivotal to the way Manchester United played have either started poorly or they haven't hit the heights that they did last season. So the one that I'm going to pick out is not Marcus Rashford, is not Lisandro Martinez, but is Casemiro. Last season, Casemiro for me was top 2 number 6s in the league. And what he done was a lot of the dirty work in front of Lisandro Martinez and Varane. He was sweeping up loose balls. He was winning aerial duels. He was a leader in that midfield. And this season, he's been asked to do something completely different in midfield, and that's man mark. Now, Casemiro, he's 30, 31 years old. He's played a lot of games throughout his career, and using a man-to-man marking system when you know you have Casemiro is not going to work, because if that midfielder drags him out wide, he's going to beat him for pace 9 times out of 10. So I feel like with certain players, their instructions hasn't been good enough from Ten Hag. For me, Casemiro is a player, you let him sit in front of the defence, let him sweep up the loose balls, let him win his tackles, let him get the interceptions, and let him play it to the more attacking players in front of him. Obviously, he could get the odd goal on the occasion as well, which we saw last season, but that's Casemiro's game. That's what he's been doing for the last 10 years. Let him sit in front of that back four, let him protect it, and after, when we have the ball, let the likes of Manu, Bruno help him out during build-up. There's also been times this season where his captain, Bruno Fernandes, has been deeper than Scott McTominay, and for me, that's almost like a cry to score goals, because Manchester United have been struggling. Rashford hasn't been on the same form. Garnacho has been very good this season, in my opinion. Højlund hasn't hit what we needed him to hit. Bruno also hasn't been scoring too. So that's the reason maybe he's pushing McTominay a bit more forward than Bruno, because McTominay does have a knack of scoring goals. But when you do that, then number one, you lose the ability of Bruno Fernandes in the final third. And number two, you lose that physical presence in the deep part of the midfield. So I feel like at times Ten Hag's tactical instructions, he has gotten it wrong, to be bland. Like, he has gotten it wrong, but there's still time to fix it, and that's what I'm going to keep on saying. There's still time to fix it. Maybe not top 4 fix it, but we can still win a trophy. So hopefully when these players return, the likes of Casemiro, Lisandro Martinez, Mount, Eriksen, hopefully he does change it up and he gives these players help in midfield, basically. If we get the balance right in midfield, then I truly do believe that we can find the right form to sustain and get better as the season goes on. Next, we're going to be talking about the proposed takeover by Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos, and for me, it's a very positive sign. The names that I'm hearing us being linked to, obviously, Jean-Claude Blanc, he is tipped to be our new CEO. Paul Mitchell, tipped to be head of recruitment. Dan Ashworth from Newcastle and formerly Brighton too, he is tipped to be our director of football. And the names that I'm hearing, they're names of high pedigree, names that Manchester United haven't been linked to under the Glazers, and names that Manchester United need to assist either Ten Hag or the new manager in the future. So to end on a positive note, I'm very happy that Ineos and Sir Jim Ratcliffe have come in. Hopefully they can bring Manchester United back to where we belong. Obviously with only 25%, it means that it will take time. But in terms of football inside, let's hope that they can bring Manchester United back to winning titles. And I have full trust, full belief in that they can do that. Help us win trophies, help us win the Champions Leagues, help us win the Premier Leagues that we deserve to win. But it does require patience. And we've seen at Nice that it took a few seasons. Now they're fighting for the title. Maybe at Manchester United, they couldn't take the same time, but it could also be a lot shorter because of the financial power that we have. But as fans, we have to be patient and back them. Just to end the video, that was Manchester United's mid-season review. For me personally, for Ten Hag to save his job, he really needs to win that FA Cup. If you get FA Cup and finish top 5 and we scrape Champions League just by the new format, then it will be very good for him. If you can't do that, then I'm guessing Ineos will be looking for their man. The names that I'm hearing are Potter, Amorim of Sporting Lisbon. I'm hearing names like Julian Nagelsmann after the Euro. So there are a few names that are being flown around, but right now nothing is concrete. So let's give Ten Hag the rest of the season. Hope he can turn it around because he is a top manager. And if he does turn it around, Ineos will back him come the summer window. That was Manchester United's mid-season review. I hope you guys did enjoy. Here's my introduction video if you guys did miss it. It's not too long. It's only 2 minutes and it just talks about the content that you guys are going to be seeing, hopefully, in the future of this channel. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Make sure to comment down below what videos you want to see. That's been Najib Talks Ball. I hope you guys enjoy watching. Peace.